Now, this is a story all about how my life got flipped turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a place called Atlanta. In West Brooklyn, New York, I was born and raised at a video store where I spent most of my days chilling out, boxing, rewinding all cool, watching some wrestling at home after school. When one day, WWF ratings were no good, and McMahon said, come move to my neighborhood. I booked one great show, and Patterson got scared. He said, you're moving down south with Uncle Ted in Atlanta. I whistled for a cab, and when it came near, the license plate said Harris. I saw those twins in the mirror. If anything, I was told WCW fans won't care, but I thought, nah, forget it. You're home to Atlanta. I pulled up to the Omni around 7 or 8, and I yelled to the Harrises, you're home, I'll push you later. I looked at my kingdom, I was finally there to sit on my throne as the Prince of Atlanta. And after all that, bro, if you think you're smarter than Vince Russo, you can get fucked. But listen to the show anyway, it's not bad.
Backbone Wrestling Network, we are back again for lucky number 7 of Are You Smarter Than Vince Russo's WCW? I'm Scott Shiflett. Joining me as always, the left hand to my right hand, Logan Crossland. Logan, how are you doing, buddy?
That was a good call because I am left-handed, so I am the left hand. I am the backbone. I'm just playing. I am logged.
You are the backbone. So. You are the backbone, Logan.
But yeah, happy to be here. This one is a continued run and making me want to blow my brains out mid watching wrestling. So we will get into it, but one day it's going to officially put me over the edge. But it wasn't quite today, but it was close.
Yeah, I think if this Thunder we're talking about was 30 minutes more, I probably would have been like, Logan, the podcast is over, and we would lose all our fans would be wondering what the hell happened, and I'd be like, Vince Russo happened. So we're joined. All right, a little background for this for this Thunder. It's November 4th, 1999. They're in San Diego, which feels for like the third straight week, but I think it's really the second straight week because that's when they used to do the dual Thunder tapings. If you're watching this on Peacock on the cat, you'll see that it looks like an AEW Collision taping with how little people are in the crowd. Did you notice that watching it?
I really didn't, honestly. So, but good call catching that. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all.
And Logan watched this before me because he is the backbone, and I'm just a sack of shit. And he was like, "The sound is horrible in this," and I was like, "Maybe his TV's fucked up." Wrong. It's obvious the crowd was deader than fucking Andre the Giant, Logan, because they were like crowd sweetening like a motherfucker, and I can't even really call all that stuff out most of the time, but it was like,
it's bad.
They were acting like there was like 40,000 people here when it was like maybe 2,000, and it was so bad, and the crowd sweetening was so bad. There's a promo in the back that I think my notes are. I don't know if Revolution says something about attacking Sid tonight, because that's all I could really make out, and I watched it 3 times. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Logan?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely an interview at one point where I'm like, I think I just wrote down blah 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 gets interviewed because I could not hear a fucking word he said because it was so bad. I mean, it's got to be just this thing that they play over and over again because it's and it's like the same thing over and over again. It's a guy whistling and just the crowd going mad, but it's obviously like a tape from something else because it is constant. And then, I mean, even you're going to get to it, but to start the show, Hudson's like running down the show and he's just blah, 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 blah. And Pinzer's, oh, welcome to Thunder. Here comes it's the opening contest and all that stuff. And they're like talking over each other. You can't even hear Hudson. You can kind of hear Pinzer, but it's just like right to start off the show. That they don't even have their like stuff linked up because Hudson's trying to talk and Pinzer's trying to introduce our opening match, but it's right off the bat. But yeah, everything that they do backstage is very, very hard to hear. I think they kind of figure it out by the end of the night, but it's for most of the show, it's like, oh my God, I can't even hear what they're saying. So it's bad.
Yeah, it's It's real bad. And I'm glad you mentioned the Penzer thing, because I think after I mentioned it to you, like how you could see it before, I think you're looking out for it now, which I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Like that's just
No, it's
another
all good.
thing I've ruined for someone. So let's kick this show off, Logan. Do you want to start yelling over me so they can't figure it out, just like how we were trying to figure out what the hell was going on?
No, I'm good. I'll let you talk.
All right. So we got Scott Hudson, as he says Mike Tenay is still on the set of Ready to Rumble, or as they called
Slam!
it. Yes, thank you. So absurd. So we got Scott Hudson and Larry Z, and they bring out Evan Courageous, and Scott's talking about the powers that be, how it's Evan versus Hoobie for the third time since the powers that be have taken over. And I even have here, like before they even start showing the highlights, I said, let's see who interrupts them tonight. So we get highlights of Brett interrupting and then Sid interrupting last Thursday. So Hoobie comes out, he plays to the crowd to start. He does like the weird like suck it thing, which if this was a video pod, I might attempt to show y'all, but it's like
The thing that he does.
yeah. Logan just did it for me. He's burning some calories, I'll say that. So like he plays to the crowd to start, then he kicks Evan and chops him. He pushes Evan to the corner, and like Hoobie's just stomping Evan. And then Hoobie charges Evan and then gets like power slammed. Both wrestlers then clothesline each other, which we'll be coming back to that later, guys. And then Hoobie slams Evan, and then they both trade chops and punches. Hoobie then hits a nice DDT. After that, Hoobie picks him up. Evan Irish whips Hoobie, and then Gorilla Press drops Hoobie on the ropes, like via his throat, then picks him up and slams him. I will say, like that Gorilla Press slam drop that he did on the ropes was pretty dope. Then Evan went to the top and missed a moonsault. Hoobie then goes to the top rope, but Evan like knocks his legs out and he crotches himself on the turnbuckle. Evan then hits a superplex and gets two. Logan, if I gave you $1 million, if I put a gun to your head and was like, guess which wrestler is going to come out and interrupt them? It's Russian roulette style. You have a 1 in 6 chance of getting it wrong. Would you pick this wrestler that comes out?
No, never in my wildest dreams would I have ever guessed this person to come out, because I would have expected it to be somebody of a higher stardom than our fellow that comes out here.
Yes, and that person was
Norman Smiley.
That is correct. And this is how we're going to start seeing either the Russo's writing and how it doesn't make any fucking sense, as we've already seen. But Norman Smiley comes out and he has a mic. He says, like, take it easy. It'll be just 1 minute. And I did laugh how Norman's talking Spanish to Hoobie, because I did like, if I was watching this in 99, I'd be like, oh, he knows Spanish. But I later learned that he used to wrestle in Mexico in the 80s and the 90s as Black Magic. So Norman says, when you first saw me, you thought I was hardcore to the bone. Norman says he petitioned the powers that be to bring back hardcore wrestling, and that's his specialty. I have in parentheses, he said last Monday, Logan, versus Brian Knobbs, that he hated hardcore matches, and he's a serious wrestler. Then a week and a half later, he's saying he's known for his hardcore wrestling. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't make sense. And it's like, it's not like this was written like on the last Nitro 3 days before. It was fucking 10 days before. No continuity at all. Nope. And Norman says, when you think of hardcore, you think of one man, Norman. Norman says he's predicting now that every wrestler will be part of the hardcore wiggle. And then Hoobie and Evan start beating up Norman. And then when they go both to drop kick Norman, he like tumbles over and they both drop kick each other. Norman then gets up and does the big wiggle. We're going to stop there, Logan. I will say I do like Hoovy and Evan not being able to have a match. I hope that continues and just get more absurd with like people interrupting them. But the match was actually kind of decent. Like, you know, I like Hoovy. Evan was kind of miles better than that weird sexual match that he had with Medusa last on Nitro, or which we talked about last episode. But what did you think?
Yeah, like you said, they before the match they remind us of the two interruptions that they've had before. I do kind of like that they've done this with these two each time. Even though I will say I have enjoyed what they have done in the matches previously, but this one got a little bit more time than those did, or at least it felt like it did. It was very fast paced, never really stopped. It's just kind of like move after move after move. I really like that superplex that Courageous hit at one point, but yeah, just they get interrupted again. Hopefully one day they'll finally have a full match, but definitely enjoyed what they put together. But yeah, Norman going from hating hardcore wrestling to doing the hardcore wiggle, and being the hardcore, icon or whatever. Definitely seems like a real quick flip of the script. But it's going to be his specialty going forward, I think. So, but yeah, maybe Courageous and Hoovy will finally have that full match at one point. But I do kind of, like I said, I do a little bit enjoy the fact that it continues to be the same two guys that keep getting interrupted. But they did have a little bit longer, like I said, match this time, and it was pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, it definitely seems like, the first match was 2 minutes. The second match was 3 minutes. Like, these matches aren't long, guys, on this. Spoiler alert, Russo likes writing Crash TV, and it's called Crash TV for a reason. So maybe they'll get 6 minutes and be a full match. I don't know. Or best of 3. I don't know. So Hudson says rumors are running amok backstage that strange things are happening. And then this is what I was talking about. We see Revolution talking, and it sounds like Shane saying the right man is stepping up, but it was so hard to hear them. I had no idea what they were saying. So, so we go to commercial break, and then we see Sid walking backstage, and I took a picture and sent this to you, Logan. He's wearing a hat so tight, it looks like a yarmulke on his head. Like, with his blonde curls. It looks like he's like some type of Jewish rabbi or someone like that, because like the baseball cap, like it was so damn tight. It was probably cutting off the blood flow to his head, Logan. But Mike Graham, who just works Thursdays apparently, walks up to him and says, Powers That Be has changed his booking, that tonight he's teaming with Perry Saturn versus Rick Steiner and Benoit. Sid says verbatim, DMT is my buddy, and walks off. DMG is my buddy, and walks off. No, DFG. Sorry. DFG is my buddy, and walks off. And then we go to our second match of the night. I'll stop there. What did you think? Were you able to hear the Revolution?
No.
Promo? Okay, that's the one. What did you think of the Sid Powers That Be changing the booking, brother?
I do feel like on the Revolution one, I feel like Hudson kind of talks over him too. So it's like the crowd, you can't hear him over, and the fact that Hudson kind of talks over him a little bit. I got out of it that they were thinking about adding a new member, obviously, because Benoit was gone. But yeah, Mike Graham continues to show up. I'm continued to be shocked every time I see him. But yeah, Sid in that hat. Luckily, he has so much hair that I don't think the blood circulation quite cuts off his head. But it's just another thing to have the hat kind of try to fit around. But yeah, Sid's pretty pissed that the DFG, his buddy, is going to be on the opposite side of him in a tag match. So we'll see kind of how that works out for him in a conversation that those two have later. But yeah, Sid looking absolutely ridiculous in civilian clothes. So he's just one of those people that should always wear black boots, black tights, and like a vest. Should never wear regular people clothes. He's not a real human.
1,000%, Logan. Yeah, he's not a real human, so he shouldn't be wearing them. So we go to our second match of the night. It's Booker T with Stevie Ray versus someone who I had thought had left WCW by this point, Kaz Hayashi.
Sean Kidd's favorite.
Is that a shoot?
He was one of his MVPs on Fall Brawl '99 Chicken Salad. So, big fan of Kaz Hayashi.
Hear that? On the Place to Be Wrestling feed. In the
archives.
The archives. I wanted to call it the back pages, but knew that was wrong. All right. So before the match, we see highlights of Booker T getting screwed on Monday as Creative Control helped JJ win. Match starts off. Booker T offers his hand to Kaz, and they shake hands. We get a collar elbow tie up. Booker T is showing his strength, the knee to the gut. Then Kaz went for a dive coming off the ropes, but Booker T caught him and just hit a power slam. That gets a 2. Kaz gets some kicks to Booker T. Kaz is just attacking him, and then actually is able to drop kick Booker T outside. And then Kaz hits a slingshot dive to Booker T, which was actually really nice. And then like Booker T gets in the ring and distracts the ref, and during this time Stevie Ray attacks Kaz, which is like Booker T can't even take out Kaz. What's going on? Booker T had the ref distracted. Booker T hits the bookend. Booker T then hits the slapjack. It's not called the bookend. It's basically the rock bottom. Booker T then hits the slapjack, which is basically an Alabama slam. And Booker T goes up top and hits the missile dropkick, and it's over. Then we go backstage to Doug Dillinger with the Filthy Animals. They distract him, and Conan steals his wallet. Then they split the $7 that they had between themselves because, like, they're showing, like, taking the wallet. It's like, oh, let's take his money. It's literally fucking $1 bills. Like, are they going to go raid the fucking vending machine or something?
It's all
so bad. And then we'll get to that in a minute. So then we go back to Mean Gene and Rick Steiner. Mean Gene says, good news, you're in the tag team main event. Bad news is your buddy Sid is across the ring. Rick Steiner says the power wannabes don't matter. So we go to commercial break. So Logan, it's why can't Booker T beat Kaz Hayashi fucking, without interference? Like, why does Stevie Ray have to whoop his ass? And then, like, if you're gonna fucking steal, give Doug Dillinger some like $100 bills or something. Because like if you're gonna do it, it's like God damn, it's like
at least.
What are we? Yeah, it's just like your daughter like taking money out of like saying like, oh, you give your daughter like $1 bill and she's like, I'm rich. That's how the fucking Filthy Animals were acting when they stole $7 from him.
It's like that line in Home Alone 2 when Marv's talking about robbing a candy store. He says 9-year-olds rob a candy store, Marv. So yeah, they're going to get freaking they're going to go get some candy bars and a Coke from the vending machine in the building or something like that with their bunch of ones. I love that they're like showing it off, like it's so cool too whenever they do it. But yeah, Kaz Hayashi absolutely dominates Booker T in this match. Booker gets almost no offense until the end of the match, almost zero. This is a Nick Patrick completely ignoring what's going on in the outside specialty, where he should have absolutely called for a disqualification because he physically looks at Stevie Ray attacking Kaz on the outside. But then, yeah, like you said, Booker T hits a series of big moves, which were cool. I liked the slapjack. I liked the bookend. And he finishes him off with the heat-seeking missile. So, really, I like that missile drop kick that he does a lot. So, the ending portion was good. Yeah, the ending portion was good, but man, Kaz beat his ass for most of the match, which it wasn't super long either. But the fact that he dominated the most portions of it is insane. But yeah, they steal the money. Ridiculous that they were so happy about stealing all the ones. And then, yeah, Steiner's obviously not happy either that he's going to be across the ring from Sid. But he's going to go out there and do his job. So there is that.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. So we come back from commercial break. Filthy Animals with Tori come out. Eddie says he's a filthy animal and damn proud of it. We want it. We take it. All $7 that you have, Doug Dillinger. And then Buzz Stern comes out, the former Glacier. And with him is Luther Biggs, which when this came out, I messaged you and our own Matt Souza with the words, who the fuck is Luther Biggs? And so I'd never seen him before. But basically like a jobber that they were trying to do something with. I think this is the only time we'll probably see him. Mm-hmm. So before the Eddie Guerrero versus Buzz Stern match starts off, we see how the Filthy Animals got Tori back on Monday with Perry Saturn being a dum-dum. So the match starts. I will say Glacier's ripped. I'm going to call him Glacier because I refuse to say he's Buzz Stern. Mm-hmm. He is ripped. Eddie starts off with a headlock. Buzz Stern shrugs it off and then hits a shoulder block on Eddie. Then he hits a sidewalk slam. And then we see Conan and Billy Bully and Luther Biggs on the outside. And then like Buzz comes and pushes Ray and the Filthy Animals beat down Buzz Stern. Eddie has the ref distracted. Billy Kidman like gets Buzz in the ring and hits like the Baldo bomb on him. and then Eddie goes up and hits the frog splash. After the match, Filthy Animals jump Luther Biggs, and then they're beating down both Buzz and Luther Biggs. Eddie stole Buzz Stern t-shirt off of Luther Biggs, which I think that would be like, if you got a Buzz Stern t-shirt, that would be like the most inside wrestling t-shirt you could probably have. So I kind of hope Glacier has a fucking pro wrestling tees, Logan, because I'll be getting them for us. And after that, we go straight backstage to see Curly Bill in Berlin because it's the Lethal Lottery, apparently, because tonight they face the Filthy Animals for the tag titles. Bill says, I don't know why they put us together. Berlin says, don't speak for me. He says people from Texas shouldn't talk, and says, sit back and watch Berlin conquer the Filthy Animals tonight. So, Logan, I want your thoughts on that match. What the hell's going on with these random ass tag teams? And do you want the Buzz Stern t-shirt?
If you can find it, I will definitely wear it with you. Yeah, what is this Battle Bowl with the Berlin Curly Bill tag team? So I feel like I'm watching Battle Bowl. This is the promo that I could not hear what Eddie said at all. So the fact that you got any words out of that, I was surprised because the audio is so horrible. I couldn't even hear what he said. I really wasn't aware Glacier came back in another character after Glacier kind of ended. So I was definitely shocked to see him. Yeah, Luther Biggs, what is going on? But he has him with him, obviously, and he gets bullied by the animals on the outside. So the guys that you're supposed to cheer for, I feel like, bullying the up and comer kind of mentee to the mentor of Buzz Stern. But he gets bullied, and they eventually draw Stern out and beat his ass while Eddie has the ref kind of conversating with him. But yeah, then Kidman goes in and hits the BK bomb, like you said, and Eddie wins with the frog splash. But yeah, the best line from the interview with Berlin and Curly Bill is Berlin says not to dare speak for him, and no one from Texas should be even able to speak or allowed to speak and to follow his lead. So nobody from Texas should be allowed to speak. So I thought that was a pretty funny line there by Berlin. But yeah, Battle Bowl tag teams, Coach Buzz Stern. What the fuck are we doing?
I have no idea. It definitely feels like they pulled their names out of the fishbowl like they did in those Battle Bowl Lethal Lottery stuff. Mm-hmm. Logan, I got good news.
What's that?
Glacier has a pro wrestling tee store.
Holy shit.
And he has a Buzz Stern t-shirt.
Oh, God.
I will be getting your size later for that, Logan. So,
okay.
This is going to be amazing. That's like the most inside baseball wrestling t-shirt you could have. It's going to be great.
Work myself into a shoot on that one.
Yeah, you really did. I was so excited. Like, you were talking about that, and like I was on mute, and I was just giddy, like laughing. I'm like, oh my God. And like, yes. So you guys might be seeing that. I might have to reinstall Instagram and put pictures of those shirts up when I get them. So we go to commercial break. We come back and we see Benoit at a cooler, and Rick Steiner approaches him, and Rick says to his tag team partner, "Going to be a long night for you, Benoit." And Benoit mouths something to him. I couldn't understand what the hell he said because of what we talked about. So then, yes, pretty much. And then they spend the next 5 minutes showing highlights of all the first round matches. And I think this is a good thing, Logan. This is what I have for one of our awards later. I think it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. Because of the good thing, it keeps the people that maybe didn't watch Nitro, but decide they're going to watch their WCW week and watch Thunder, which they probably never watched WCW ever again. But it kept them up to date with what happened in the first round. The bad news is they saw all the fuck finishes in it.
Yeah.
So, like, just going in order, like, we see highlights of Vampiro and Berlin, how the Misfits with Matt Souza called us uncultured swine. So, we're right, Souza. I don't listen to that type of music. I guess I am uncultured swines. We didn't know who the Misfits were. And then we see Cat versus Lash LaRue with the Cat's knee going out. Buff versus Stevie Ray and the strap match highlights with how Buff won by DQ in a fucking strap match. Disco versus Kurt Hennig, where Disco walked out of the ring, where some guy who looks Italian walked up to him. Jeff Jarrett versus Booker T highlights where Creative Control, which was the second time we saw that tonight, Logan, because we saw it before the Booker T match. And then we see Medusa versus Evan Courageous, which I don't want to pontificate more about that because it makes me main roster angry. Then we see Chris Benoit versus Dean Malenko highlights in the end of the cage match, which we loved the end of that cage match last episode. Then we see the Sid versus Scott Hall highlights. And then we go and see more highlights of last week's Thunder where the Revolution jumped Benoit during the Chris versus Sid match and how the Sid rescued Benoit. And we go backstage and we see the Revolution confront Sid. Shane says we will work on last week's issue in the future, but they got to work together tonight. And then Sid says that no one asked for this and walks away. So what did you think of that? Just total bullshit.
Yeah, they show all the highlights of the matches from the tournaments, just all the like you said, all the fuck finishes, all the absolutely ridiculous stuff that we saw on Nitro. And then the Revolution talk to Sid, tell them they should get on the same page. Again, this was another one of those where I could barely hear what they were saying because it's just absolutely so hard to hear in any way, just because the audio is so bad. But Sid obviously says none of them asked for this, and we'll just see how it goes. So I like that it kind of left it open-ended. Nobody really knew who was on the same page or what was going on. So, but yeah, just ridiculous stuff.
Speaking of ridiculous stuff, Logan,
yes,
I couldn't have figured out a better segue for what we're about to talk about. Come back from commercial break. We have Mean Gene with La Parka. Mean Gene says that La Parka's facing Buff tonight and that he beat him weeks ago on Nitro. He asks if he can beat him again. La Parka starts talking in Spanish. I got some of the subtitles here because they added subtitles. And he's talking about his outfit. And La Parka says that he loves Skeletor. That's why he dresses like him. And then going on, but he throws out Nash and Hall, but it doesn't the subtitles aren't adding up. But it's just the gist of it is that he loves Skeletor and that's why he wants to dress up with him. I'm like, that's not what subtitles mean. I don't know if that's what he's saying.
Right? That's not really what he's saying.
Yeah, it definitely was because when it's over, Scott Hudson said the subtitles were wrong, and then Buff comes out and he has the Sasha Banks boo boo face, and we see highlights of the Nitro match between these two from a couple weeks ago where Buff was throwing the match because it was on the script for him to lose, guys, and how dumb he was and everything. And the Buff's dumbass angle. I hate Buff Bagwell. I know I say this every episode. I want him off my screen, but this is a labor of love. So me and Logan are sticking through with this to the very end. Damn it. So match starts off. La Parka's taunting Buff. Buff stays in the corner. They lock up and Buff hits an arm drag and then shows off. And then Scott's calling Buff out for not having his heart in it. And then Buff hits a hip toss and does the Fargo strut, which Scott's saying that he's mocking Jeff Jarrett. And then he then slams La Parka and does his Buff pose and shit. And then La Parka hits a slam and then he struts. It's my little brother would be playing me in SmackDown. Here Comes the Pain, and he would do a move and do a taunt with someone, then slam me again, then taunt with someone, then I'd slam him and taunt. That's basically how it was. It's like if little kids were playing video games. So Buff starts peppering Parka with punches and kicks in the corner. Bufflin acts like he wants to lose again and motions to La Parka to kick him, and that's what happened last time when he lost. But Buff reverses the kick with the Enziguri and starts whooping his ass. And then Buff hits the blockbuster and pins La Parka. And Logan, that was dumb. So dumb. Tell me about the La Parka interview and this worthless ass match.
Yeah, I mean, the La Parka interview is absolutely just ridiculous. The whole thing is insane. That that they act like he's talking about Skeletor and He-Man and all that stuff, and that's his hero, and that's why he dresses like him. I'm not a I'm not an expert in Spanish or anything like that, but I could just tell by what he was saying that absolutely in no way was what he was saying, and it's probably like super offensive that they like changed the closed captioning to say that he was saying other things. And being Gene being the guy that he is, he would never just listen to somebody speak a foreign language. He would be like, "Speak English." So he was really holding his tongue on that one. So. But yeah, in the match, lots of posturing and dancing to kind of start, and a lot of stalling. Like you said, Laparca would hit a move, and Buff would kind of boo face pout a little bit while he Laparca did his little dance. Um, I felt like there was a point where Laparca shoved him, and it really pissed Buff off, and he kind of starts really unloading on him and chokes him, and eventually, like you said, hits the blockbuster. So yeah, just a really nothing match, just a lot of dancing and posturing, and really a lot of stalling. So yeah, Buff continues to be a huge bad part of this. That we've been watching so far. So, but yeah, very probably super duper offensive that they did the thing with the closed captioning on the Laparca interview.
It's so bad, but it's not even the worst thing we've seen. Like that's why it barely was like a blip on the radar. Like it's probably culturally insensitive, but it's like it's basically what they did with Taka and Kai and Tai with Evil Indeed.
Indeed.
That's basically what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, see, but that was funny.
So, yeah, and this isn't funny. Like this, I mean, at first the Skeletor thing was actually, and then it was just like, nope.
Well, yeah, it was funny in how like why would they come up with it's more insane than it is anything, I guess.
All right, so we go. Mean Gene is the hardest working man on this Thunder, Logan. Filthy Animals are backstage with him. Mean Gene he's talking with Billy and Conan about facing Berlin and Curly Bill. Billy says when he thinks of tag team specialists, he thinks of Berlin and Curly Bill, which I thought was a good line. Conan says that the kid has a paintbrush on his forehead and that Curly Bill is the sheriff from Blazing Saddles. Remember that joke, Logan, because that's pretty good. But we'll hear it again. Conan says it's money and then calls Revolution strawberry punks and says that it's not over between them. And then we go to commercial break. We come back. We have the tag team match. Billy says San Diego, the Filthy Animals will keep you up all night. Kidman goes say something else, but Tori kisses him. Conan says that smell is the Filthy Animals. So is it shit? They say they smell like shit. And
they put the WCW
the money on the. Yeah, that's a very nice callback, Logan. Yes. It even took me a minute, and it's only been 7 episodes. And Conan also says, lay the money on the floor. There's going to be an accident. He says they are going to STOMP all on your grave. So I'm going to stop before let me start with the match. Then Berlin comes out. And Curly Bill comes out, and we see the highlights of Luger and Sting versus Filthy Animals from Nitro. And then Scott says that Luger has a bye to round 3. And then Kidman on the mic says that Bill looks like the sheriff in Blazing Saddles, which Conan literally said 5 minutes ago.
Another very culturally insensitive joke as well, because that movie is quite offensive nowadays if you watch it back. I think it was probably offensive then too, but
But also hilarious.
Yes.
So what did you think of the promo? Revolution of Filthy Animals is a feud that won't die. Just put them in like a steel cage match, let them duke it out. And then Billy and Conan's crazy ass promo that they then did on the mic.
Yeah. Yeah, I always pop for when Conan calls people strawberries, so I really like that. You bunch of strawberries. And says the bad blood isn't over, obviously, between the two groups. So that, yeah, like you said, the feud that'll never end. At least Gene gets to interview people that are actually worth a shit for once. But like you said, Kidman tries to cut a promo, but Tori kind of cuts him off and makes out with him. And then Conan pulls out the STOMP on their graves, like you said. but just absurd. But yeah, I always pop for when Conan calls people strawberries. Um, but yeah, Tori probably did Kidman a favor by cutting him off from cutting a promo. So, um, but yeah, the match is even more strange as we'll get into.
Yeah, so Matt starts off with Berlin working over Kidman with punches and a drop kick. Berlin gets a nice back suplex, and he gets 2 off of that. Then he actually gets a spin kick and hits 2. Then Kidman hits a crossbody and gets 2, and then gets a drop kick. Then he hits a nice running clothesline where he slingshotted Berlin into the turnbuckle, Brett style. Like Berlin went chest first, and then Kidman rebounded off the ropes and hit a nice clothesline, which I thought was very nice. Berlin was begging off, and then like Kidman then goes to hit Curly Bill on the apron, and he steps down and sideswipes it. And while he's doing this, Berlin gets another power slam and gets 2. And then Berlin went for a power bomb, but Kidman punched his way out of it, and they just dropped to the ground. We get a tag to Conan. They hit a double elbow. Conan then hits his rolling clothesline and then basically hits the X Factor. Berlin's able to get a clothesline and tags in Curly Bill. And Bill actually gets an arm drag and DDT on Billy, who tagged in as well. And then Bill goes to tag in Berlin, but Berlin backs away. The bodyguard then punches out Curly Bill, his own tag team. They could have won the fucking tag team titles, Logan. And then Conan gets the horrible Tequila Sunrise, which looks just as bad as Dax Harwood's sharpshooter. So that's how bad it looked. And we're over for this. So how this match makes sense. Berlin could have won a tag title, Logan.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it was kind of decent until then.
How dare you insult Dax Harwood? He's one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, right? Wink, wink.
Yeah, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Whatever that guy. Yeah, his sharpshooter is terrible. The thing that stuck out to me in this match, and it's kind of the way the whole show's gone, but the booking of this show is just so strange. It seems like the featured act, like the people that have the most TV time in every match, gets their ass kicked for like the entire time that they're facing these jobbers in this match. Because like Berlin and Curly Bill really kind of control most of this match. Obviously, Filthy Animals, like we mentioned earlier, one of the most featured acts on all the shows, Nitro, pay-per-views, and Thunder. So like you would think they would dominate these scrubs. But they really kind of only pull it out at the end and win, obviously by somewhat nefarious means. So, and yeah, like you said, that Tequila Sunrise he locks in is awful. I never really understood like what, the appeal of that move was. It looks terrible. It never looked good. But this one looked especially horrible for sure. So, but yeah, Berlin pretty much pisses away a chance to be the tag team champion. Obviously, it's not with somebody he probably wants to be tag team champion with, but being a champion is being a champion, man. So take what you can. And we could have had our like 6th world tag team title change or something like that. So, but yeah, I mean, just another very strangely booked match. Obviously, if you're going to feature them, I would think that Kidman and Conan would come in here and cream these two guys, but obviously not.
Yeah, like this should have been a total squash. Like they should have not had any help from anyone.
Mm-hmm.
This should have been Squash City, and it's not. Like you brought up a good point. Like when has Virgil hasn't won since he beat fucking Ted DiBiase at SummerSlam? What 91, 92?
Yeah,
so
91, yeah.
Yeah, and we literally just saw Berlin lose at Halloween Havoc to Brad Armstrong. So it's like these guys don't need any offense, and it's just.
And they don't deserve a tag team title shot because they're not a team, and B, they're both jobbers.
Yes. Yes, it's so absurd. So we got Scott hyping up an 8-man battle royal, which I guess they might have talked about before, but I couldn't hear them. So that's to come later tonight. Which that's certainly a battle royal, Logan. We'll get to it. And then we see Lash LaRue, who I thought I liked him as a kid. I think I liked him in the Misfits in action. But we'll get to that in 12 years. But also, our own Jacob Williams has made me probably like Lash LaRue more than I should, because I'm watching him here and I realize how much I hate him. he's like a caricature of what someone from that part of the country is like. So let me get to it.
He,
We see
he's about to
Lash
make a
with Mean
name for
Gene.
himself.
Oh, the Cajun weight title. So Mean Gene asks about the respect from Disco. Lash says he doesn't trust Disco as far as he can throw his grandfather's mule. And then Lash says that Disco has his Cajun weight title, and one way or another, he's going to have a title belt. So go to commercial break. Then we see Mean Gene is getting his steps in. I need to check his Fitbit. But he's with Van Hammer, who I'm like, God, I hate Van Hammer. But Mean Gene says Revolution wants Van Hammer to be in their group. That's a rumor. And Van Hammer says it's the truth. He says if Revolution says yes, it's going to be Money in the Bank. So I guess Van Hammer for 99 Money in the Bank winner, Logan. So
God,
we actually get to what I think might be my match of the night. It's Lash LaRue versus Silver King. But of course, before the match starts, we see highlights again of Lash versus Cat from Monday. Match starts and they lock up, and ref breaks it because they get in the corner. They lock up again, and Silver King goes to punch him and misses a punch. Then Silver King hits a standing flip on Lash after a trip. He gets 2. Silver King misses a spinning heel kick, and Lash goes on offense with punches and then does a split and punches him, which I hate that move so much when he does the split and punches. It's like he's fucking Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat, but Johnny Cage is so much cooler. Silver King goes outside and Lash follows him. Silver King goes to slap him and then throws him into the guardrail. Silver King gets Lash back in the ring and puts him on the turnbuckle. Lash kicks him down and hits a nice crossbody for 2, which I actually bid on Logan. Lash then hits Silver King with a strike and an elbow, like a elbow strikes, and then he hits an elbow drop and gets 2. Silver King then gets up at snapmares and kicks Lash, then gets a corkscrew senton, which was nice. That also gets 2. Silver King Irish whips Lash, and Lash actually gets a sunset flip and got 2 off of that. Silver King goes outside again, and Lash Irish whip Silver King to the guardrail. Lash tries to pull Silver King back in the ring, but Lash does drops it in throat first onto the rope. Then he hits a senton and gets 2. Then he hits a body drop. Then Lash kind of hits like this like spinning slam after Silver King taunted him, and then Silver King is dropped hold throat first by Lash onto the ropes. Silver King misses a moonsault after that, and then Lash hits the whiplash, and it's over. A lot happened in this match, but this is another thing. You're trying to push Lash, but you're giving Silver King all this offense, Logan. I mean, I thought it was a very good match. Like, Silver King seemed like he was wanting to go. He had the crowd chanting for him because you could actually hear it, and he was, like, pointing to the crowd. So what did you think of all this?
Yeah, I thought the match was really solid. Silver King really stiffs him on a couple of those dives. That springboard senton he does, he really lands on him with like a real loud thud. I think he really laid it in. He kind of sandbagged him. And then he does that slingshot senton too, and he kind of does the same thing, kind of lands real hard on him. Didn't really protect him that much. So Silver King headed out for the Cajun weight, man. But yeah, another solid, really fast-paced cruiser match. You don't really have a ton of reason to care just because it's Silver King and he's not been really presented super strong or at all, really. And Lash, it's kind of Disco's only challenger that we've really seen that they've even really talked about or done anything with. So, but yeah, the end obviously comes from Silver King whiffing on a moonsault, and Lash wins with the. It's what Chris Sabin eventually calls the cradle shock, but it's pretty much the same move. So that's what I called it. So, but yeah, a really solid match. Probably match of the night so far. I don't know how much of a hype up that is, but yeah, the Lash interview before obviously goes super in on the Cajun stuff, but pretty much just says that he doesn't trust, or he can respect Disco, but he doesn't trust him. And as long as he has his Cajun weight title, he's on his hit list. So, and then Van Hammer possibly being the new member of the Revolution, if they're to the point where they need to, bring him in, that they just need to disband and retire from wrestling completely.
Correct. So we go backstage to Mean Gene once again. Like, can we get another damn interviewer, Logan? Like, when does where does Pamela Polishok come in? Like, she was attractive.
Come on, man.
But we got Mean Gene, and he's with Benoit, and he says he's shocked about how he's able to fight after the match on Monday. Benoit says that Malenko is no longer the hunter, but the prey. Benoit says that since Sid is heartbroken about going against Steiner, he will take on both himself. And then we cut to Revolution walking. Scott says they will test out Van Hammer next. We come back from commercial break. Revolution is going to try and replace Benoit with Van Hammer. I said this is dumb. We see highlights of the cage match and how Revolution handcuffed Benoit. And then we see how David Flair saved Benoit. And then Scott says no word on David Flair. So interesting to see if we get an update on Monday. So before the match of Dean Malenko versus Van Hammer, which is like a tryout match, we got Hammer says, we're in the back. You guys are looking for another man to round out this group. Hammer says, I have earned it. I deserve it, and I can help you guys. Shane looks like he'll rather go back to ECW and not get paid than have Van Hammer part of the Revolution. Hammer says, that's right. That's right. It's me. He said we can do it two ways. We can raise all the hell around here and said Revolution could use a big man in their group. Other way is that Hammer can fight his way in, and then Hammer points at Malenko and says he can start by kicking his vertically out challenged ass right now. So before the match starts, Logan, what are your thoughts on Van Hammer? I mean, you've already tried to do it, but like just the disdain from all these guys when they see it is just amazing. Like they're like, I have a better chance to join the Revolution.
Yeah, Shane really looked like he would rather be anywhere else than listening to Van Hammer talk about how much he wants to be in the group. And obviously Malenko and Saturn are just like, can we kick this guy's ass? Do we really have to listen to what he says? But then he obviously insults the fact that Dean is not the tallest man. So, yeah, I mean, Van Hammer is a big motherfucker, so they could probably use his size, but obviously not the most skilled in-ring guy, and I think that's kind of what they were going for with this group. Obviously, with Benoit previously being in it and not being anymore, but yeah, just that all of those guys would rather it be anywhere else, and luckily for Dean, he actually gets to kick his ass in a match, so. I'm sure Perry was very sad, but he has this tag match later, so we can. So he has some time to beat some ass too. But and then the Benoit promo before was pretty standard Benoit stuff, just calling out Malenko, saying he'll get his in due time. But if Steiner doesn't want to play ball, he can take Saturn and Sid himself. So just another good kind of hype for Benoit. But yeah, the Revolution would rather be anywhere but be listening to fucking Van Hammer talk, which is probably what a lot of us would say.
Yeah, it's just horrible. Just horrible. So right after he says he's going to kick Dean Malenko's vertically challenged ass right now, Malenko drop kicks Hammer in his leg and just starts working over the leg, like getting in ferocious shots. He comes off the rope. Malenko is then dumb because after working the leg for like 3 minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes, he comes off the middle rope and Hammer catches him and power slams him. And then Hammer's working over Malenko in the corner. And then Malenko actually hits a nice middle rope clothesline, which I thought was nice. And then Dean distracts the ref, and they have Van Hammer in the corner, and Perry attacks Hammer's legs, and then like Malenko's working the leg still. And Hammer's trying to beg off, like apologize for it. Malenko's still working the leg. And then Malenko came charging in, and Hammer used his other leg to stop Malenko and then hit a nice Alabama slam on him. And then Hammer gets the Cobra clutch on Malenko, and they're worked the way in the corner. Dean hits the ref. And while they have him in the corner, Asia and Perry grab both of Hammer's legs and send him into the turnbuckle nut first. And then Perry hits the bag leg on the post. After this, Malenko gets his Texas Cloverleaf in, and it's over. And the Revolution jump Hammer after the match. So, yeah, what did you think of that match? It was short and sweet, but Hammer did get some moves in. But I liked Dean working the leg. It was nice limb work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He goes right after the knees, like you said, wears them down pretty good to start the match. Hammer, like you said, does get a few power moves in. He hits a pretty sick spine buster at one point. I like when he hit that move. But the damage to the knee is kind of too much for him to handle. He's continuously kind of hobbling on it. Of course, Hammer has him pretty much dead to rights at one point. Of Of course, we have a ref bump because why not? We have a ton of ref bumps, but we have one here. And then obviously Saturn helps with the knee. And then Dean gets the clover leaf, like you said. And then they beat his ass a little bit more afterwards. So apparently Van Hammer's not who they had in mind to join the Revolution. So, but good to see Dean get a win. And he did some pretty good leg work there. But I mean, I think Hammer did enough to kind of be considered to maybe get a little bit more time on TV. But we'll see where he kind of gets used from here. But I think he looked all right for the time he was given.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked at how much I was like, damn, Van Hilber actually looks pretty good because he normally doesn't. He also looks better with a mustache than clean shaven because I hated his 91, 92 look. But so we go to a commercial break, we come back, and if you guys didn't listen to the first 6 episodes of this pod, this highlight package will catch you up with some of them. So Scott's like, this is a highlights of the powers that be and the changes that have been made. We see JJ debuting, the Buff dumb shit, the Medusa dumb shit, Creative Control beating down Buff, the Jim Duggan stuff where we saw the first voice of Vince Russo, and he's like, I don't care if you have 8 kidneys. You know, what are you doing for me? Kurt Hennig and strangely Brad Armstrong, where they were like, Brad Armstrong needs to talk to his brother about finding charisma. They bring up the Filthy Animals in the World Title Tournament, how Filthy Animals were the demise of Ric Flair. And Scott says, more changes still to come. Compliments of the powers that be. Whew. That was something, Logan. And speaking of something, we have an 8-man over-the-top Opportunity Knox Battle Royal. And I will say, Logan, you do Highway to the Impact Zone down here every other Thursday on the Backbone Wrestling Network. Vince Russo loves holding like the people being fired over someone's head. We see it with the Feast or Fired match, and we see it now with this Opportunity Knox Battle Royal. Because let me run down who's in this. We got Steve Regal, Chavo, Scotty Riggs, David Taylor, El Dandy, Prince Iakeda, Chris Adams, and Jerry Flynn. Scott says all 8 wrestlers are on the bubble. The winner will get a golden opportunity on Monday. The other 7 may have to go up north. And Larry's like, first off, if they all get is the one that makes out the best in all this. He made the best decision. So good for him. And this was a basic battle royal, guys. Like, I'm not going to go over every move or sort of every move like I've been doing. Like, it's just like a lot of battling near the ropes and then not trying to throw anyone off. So Scott just says multiple times that rumors all these guys might get fired. So we get the first elimination with El Dandy being eliminated by Scotty Riggs and Flynn. Chavo eliminated Chris Adams. Then Jerry Flynn eliminated Scotty Riggs. Prince Iakea eliminated Jerry Flynn. Dave Taylor eliminated Prince Iakea. Then Taylor eliminated himself by accident because Steve Regal was holding Chavo, and Chavo ducked, and he brought Steve down with him, and Dave went over the ropes. Then Chavo eliminates Steve Regal, and Chavo will get the golden opportunity on Nitro. Logan, anything you'd like to add with that battle royal? Pretty basic for all intents and purposes.
I had 3 notes on this match. One was listing all the competitors. I had to go back and figure out who all was in it because I like wasn't paying attention at the beginning, and I was like, oh shit, there's a battle royal going on. My second note is, what the fuck is this, and why is it on my screen? And then obviously Chavo wins and earns a golden opportunity. So I'm guessing that means he'll get some type of title shot on Monday, but we'll see. But yeah, Chavo's really the only one we've seen out of these guys. I mean, we've seen Regal and Taylor, I guess, but they usually seem to be jobbing to another more featured act. But you know, Chavo getting maybe a cruiserweight championship match could be interesting, I guess. He's not to the point where I hate him yet, so it could be interesting to kind of see what he does. But he was really the only one out of that, other than maybe Regal, that I could see winning anything. So I guess not a bad choice in the grand scheme of things, but very, very random and very kind of stupid at the same time, and kind of a little bit of time wasting. But you know, Russo.
Well, Logan, time wasting because when we get to the main event, I'll tell you how much time we had left. So we see Sid and Rick talking. They keep discussing who do the finger poke of doom on each other. And I even have here, Sid literally just tried this on Monday. And Rick is like, great idea, and then looks at him like he's a moron when they walk away. Sid literally just talked about doing this with Scott on Monday and was double crossed. So we'll see if that happens again, guys. So we have Sid and Perry versus Chris and Rick. We see highlights of last week where it felt like the 10th time. When Benoit comes out, we see highlights of Havoc when Dean turned on Chris, and then the last Monday's cage match. Logan, the match starts with less than 5 minutes left in the show.
Oh, man.
So Sid and Rick start off. Sid goes for the pin, and just like on Monday, Rick schoolboys him, puts him in an inside cradle, and then Sid gets pissed off and power bombs Rick, and then gets mad and walks out. So this basically turns into a one-on-one match, sort of. We'll get to that. So Perry and Saturn then get in the ring. Perry begs off, and Perry and Chris trade strikes. And then Perry misses a punch, and Chris chops the shit out of him. Like, it was bad. Then he hits a backbreaker and gets two. Then Chris is just kicking Perry in the corner, and he misses a charge in the corner. Perry hits a nice T-bone suplex. That's one thing I learned. Like, his suplexes are crisp as fuck, Logan. And then, like, Perry misses the lion salt. And then Steiner tries to tag in, but Chris blows his nose at him. So that pisses off Rick for good reason. And then he clotheslines Chris in the back of the head and then hits a belly-to-belly on Saturn. So he leaves as well. And then both guys get up. Chris gets a crossface on Perry, but Perry makes the ropes. Chris then drops an elbow on him. And then Chris hits the 3 suplexes in a row on Perry. Then he goes up top for the headbutt. He hits the headbutt and he goes to pin. Oh my God, Logan. Outruns Malenko and a DQ is called. Then just like last Thunder, Filthy Animals run in. Benoit's helping to beat down the Revolution as we cut to black. That's the end of the episode. What did you think of this match? Like, if they were going to do that, I'd just much rather have Chris and Perry be a one-on-one match.
Yeah, I was going to say, if they were going to kind of go that way, I mean, it kind of ends up being a one-on-one match a little bit anyway. So, yeah, the fact that they do the finger poke spot 2 shows in a row, not just like 2 shows like somewhat close to each other, but they don't do it twice in a row, and Sid falls for it again. I did love Steiner like making the face behind him whenever he comes up with the idea again. I love that he immediately turns on his friend, and that powerbomb is pretty sick, but he walks out obviously too.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, Saturn and Benoit just kind of decide to go after it. Benoit absolutely whoops his ass and actually shoots some snot rockets at him, blows his nose on him. That T-bone suplex you talked about was absolutely awesome by Perry. He kind of did like a capture and then does the T-bone suplex. It was a pretty sick move for sure. Obviously, like you said, Steiner offers his a tag, but then Benoit shoots some snot rockets at him. I thought the belly to belly on both guys was pretty good. I like Steiner suplexes. And then they continue the beat down. He hits the trio of Germans in the headbutt and has the match won. But obviously, Malenko comes out and kind of breaks it up, so we get another non-clean finish or another non-finish on top of things. And then obviously, like you said, again, we have the animals coming out and ending with a brawl. So seeming to be the kind of thing that we're going to do on every show, where we kind of end with another little brawl between the Revolution and the Filthy Animals.
Yeah, so that brings us to our awards for the night. But before we get there, we had 9 matches. We had 3 clean finishes, 6 non-clean or non-finish in these matches. We had sadly 0 pole matches, so we still have 1 pole match overall. We had 1 gimmick match. We're still at 7 overall. Like I said, I got to go back and do the first couple. Logan, how many different things happened tonight?
I feel like on these Thunders, we kind of get in the mid-20s usually. So we did 27 tonight. I think you said maybe last time we had 28. So it seems to be in that 25 to 28 range on these Thunders, kind of where we're going when we're almost in the 60s on Nitro. So that extra hour really does a lot of heavy lifting on Nitro, if that tells you anything, because that like 30 more things are happening just somehow in that 1 hour. So
it's so absurd.
27. Yep.
Yes. For most absurd, I got so many highlights of the same stuff and the finger poke of doom spot twice in a row. Anything else?
I went with the La Parka closed captioning or subtitles. Whatever
all right.
you call
Let me. Yes. So what do you have as what was good?
Nothing. I'm just kidding. Now I thought Benoit was good throughout the night, so I would probably give a shout out to him. I feel like once Booker got on offense, I really liked how he kind of finished and polished off Kaz Hayashi, but I could see where like him, losing most of the match could probably get him away from that, but not too much good on this one, I would say.
Yeah, what I have good is showing the highlights from Nitro of the World Title Tournament, like I said, but that also falls into my what was bad because I have showing all the fuck finishes from Nitro. Mm-hmm. So it's like a double-edged sword with that. Also have Buff because I hate him. So anything else you'd like to add to the bad?
Just putting random people that are jobbers in a tag team, then somehow getting a tag title shot. So Berlin and Curly Bill getting a title shot for doing absolutely nothing, pretty much. They must have had a hot streak on Saturday night or something.
Yeah, or Pro if that was still a thing. For Rising, I got Filthy Animals, Benoit, Sid.
Yeah, that's probably about it.
I feel the Filthy Animals win this title a lot.
So does Benoit.
Falling, I got. Yeah, so does Benoit. Like you could tell who. Like I will say, like I can't remember if I said this on this pod or pre-pod when we were talking. You could definitely tell who Russo's favorites were. The Filthy Animals, Benoit, because they seem to be pushed pretty well. And Falling, I got Rick Steiner and Van Hammer.
Yeah, Van Hammer for sure.
Maybe people. Oh, also the contestants in the Battle Royal.
Yeah, anyone that didn't win the Battle Royal. I mean, I feel like we say Buff every episode too, but I mean, he looked like shit, even though he won against La Parka. But I guess he didn't win, so maybe we give him a pass this time. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give him a pass because he wasn't the worst thing, surprisingly. And Medusa wasn't on this to be the worst thing either. So, Logan, we had 0 title changes, which I think, we have a small streak of 2 shows in a row where no titles changed hands. So
I think it's 3. Yeah. I don't think anything changed on Thunder last week either. So
you're right. So it is 3. Wow. Oh my goodness. Russo's probably going to change everything next week.
Something tells me that's not going to last too much longer.
So, are you smarter than Russo's WCW? Resounding yes.
Yeah, just for the fact that he used fake crowd noise in this one and you couldn't hear the damn segments definitely makes me smarter than him because I know he may not have done too much with the production quality of it, but somebody needed to figure that out ahead of time. So just for that, definitely smarter than Russo's WCW.
Yes. So, yeah, and that brings an end to episode 7, Logan, of Are You Smarter Than Vince Russo's WCW? For Logan Crossland, I am Scott Shufflet. Thank you guys so much for listening, and have a good rest of the day. Scar tissue that I wish you saw. Sarcastic Mr. Know-It-All. Close your eyes and I'll kiss you, 'cause with the birds I'll share. With the birds I'll share this lonely view. And with the birds I'll share this push me up against the wall. Young tuck girl in a push-up bra. I'm falling all over myself to lick your heart in case your health
with a broken jaw. Step outside, but not to brawl. And autumn sweet wind, call it fall. I'll make it to the moon if I have to crawl in. With the birds that shed this lonely view. And with the birds that shed this lonely view. And with the birds that shed this lonely view. Close your eyes and I'll kiss you, 'cause with the birds of share, with the birds of share, it's a lonely view. And with the birds of share,